Hi, I'm Anthony Originello, CEO of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources for BC and Yukon. We represent more than 8,000 members, and as the organization dedicated to advancing the HR profession through education, advocacy, awareness, professional development, as well as our recognized and impactful CPHR designation, we are proud to be a sponsor of this show. We have been the voice of the HR profession since 1942. Learn more about us at cphrbc.ca.
In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Michele Matthews of the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources of BC and Yukon. You're also an executive at AG Care. Tell me a little bit about what your work life is like. If you're representing a group of HR professionals, but you're also holding down an executive position at AG Care, how do you do it all?
It's a balance, it's a juggle, but when you are doing things that you love doing, makes things a whole lot easier. So I do sit on the board of the CPHR BC Yukon, and in my day-to-day, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at AG Care and have multiple departments that report into me. So it's a juggle, but it's a good juggle.
So let's talk about your role with the Chartered Professionals in Human Resources. What does that look like? What are you responsible for?
Well, it's a board position. I'm actually a new board member as of this last calendar year. And it really is helping to guide and set the strategic direction of the association and working really closely in support of the CEO and the executive team.
Yeah, you bring the real industry experience to say, yep, we're moving in the right direction or not. How often do you have to meet? We
are once a quarter with committee meetings interspersed between that. So it's, as I said, it's a new board position for me, but working with a lot of really dynamic, ambitious, interesting people.
The bigger part of your life, of course, is the role of COO at AG Care. What does that position entail?
Well, it is, I'm gonna be quite succinct and get down to it. It's all about people, essentially. I have oversight of operations, quality, the R&D teams, supply chain, IT, and people and culture. And so it's about managing the people, essentially, in service of moving our vision forward.
So how many direct reports do you have? And then under that, how many people are we talking about?
We're a small organization.
Yeah.
Small and mighty.
Mighty is for sure. You're everywhere.
We have, thank you.
Yeah.
I have 6 direct reports. And under that, there's probably, now you're going to quote me on these numbers, we're probably about 56 to 60 people under those functional areas.
A nice medium-sized company.
Yes.
Complex?
Fairly simple, but the manufacturing makes it a little bit more complex. I would say that we are almost two companies in that we have our manufacturing and then we have our sales and marketing, and that come together in a medium-sized company. And as I said, we're small but mighty in comparison to our competitors.
So there's no such thing as a typical day because things are changing all the time. But what would be a range of things that you would deal with, let's say, over the course of a week, like areas of responsibility that you go, okay, I'm investing time here?
Meetings, a lot of meetings. You know what, on the floor, on the manufacturing plant. So we have our own manufacturing plant that we custom built in 2018. So I spend a lot of time down on the floor, understanding where the schedule is, where we are on the lines. I am in support of product development, working with the IT department in terms of the systems and changes that are happening there, and then working with oversight for people and culture in terms of what's happening with recruitment, what's happening with basically anything to do with employees. So I've got my finger in every pie.
Yeah, but you're at the executive level as well, and so you're also face of the company.
Yes.
So you have an outward responsibility as well. And how does that keep you engaged?
I think it just, it keeps me engaged because of the time that I've been there, the company that we have built, I'm really proud of the organization, and to be able to be out in the world and talk about who we are. And again, as a small local manufacturing company, it makes it really easy, and it makes it quite a joy.
Let's go back to your graduating from high school. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Carson Graham in North Vancouver.
North Vancouver.
Local.
Yeah. And did you go on to post-secondary from there?
I did not. So I went directly into the workforce. I took the business program and went directly into the workforce. And I'm going to say back in the old days, because my kids say it back in the old days, I managed to find a posting in the career section of the Vancouver Sun for a role in the marketing department at AG Care. So it was only 4 years old at the time. The company was 4 years. And
you were just 4 years into your career?
I was 4 years into my career.
Yeah.
And I started with AG, and I've had the incredible opportunity of actually having worked in every functional department in my time in the 31 years that I've been there.
So you started in marketing?
I started in marketing.
And from there, what was your path?
Well, when you work for a small startup, you have to, at times, maybe do a job that you weren't hired for. So you just roll up your sleeves and you get in. And so my career path was marketing. Somebody needed to do some stuff for accounting, accounts payable. Sure, I can figure that out and take that on. And I would say that my innate curiosity, my ability to set up systems and structure allowed me to basically move into sales, looking after the distributors. And then I'd always done human resources basically off the side of my desk, and the company got to the size where we had the opportunity to really establish a formal HR department. And that's when I took over and set that up.
Wow.
And then went from there.
So you said something very interesting. You go, well, I haven't done that before, but sure, I can figure that out. A lot of people are reticent to do so because they fear that they're going to be imposters. How important is it to break through that fear and say, yeah, I can take that on?
Well, you have to be your own champion, and you have to get out of your own way and just move forward. There's so much access to information now, again, that you can just YouTube anything these days and figure it out. I also had the enormous benefit of working with two entrepreneurs that were trying to figure things out at the same time too. So it was a culture of innovation and a culture of just take it on and see what happens. And then you get it to the point where you go, we actually need subject matter experts here. So then you bring in external talent to help move that forward.
And it's been fantastic, hasn't it?
It's been amazing.
One thing that happens, of course, once you start to be in positions of overall responsibility for organizations is, do you have the ability to turn off work at the end of the day, or is it always percolating in the back of your mind?
I think that's a learned skill. I think it's always percolating because I choose for it to percolate. I can turn off when it needs to, but I also, I'm always basically, it's always there. It's always percolating. But again, that's through choice.
Yeah, I find it very hard to do.
Yes.
I want to do it, but it's like, no, there's something that has to be addressed. And I think that is one of the elements of responsibility, taking on responsibility. You actually do own the problems.
Yes, definitely. And there's no turning off until you address what it is. Because
Right.
it's always just going to be there.
So if a young person were graduating from Carson Graham High School today and they came to you and said, well, Michele, what is the personality trait that you think has benefited you the most in your career growth? What would you tell them?
I'd say it's a combination of two. It's tenacity and curiosity. And if you can just be really tenacious in what it is that you'd like to do and remain open and curious, ask a load of questions, it takes you a great long way. And just because, sorry, one more thing too, just because you reach a point, like I didn't go back to school until I was much later. And so I would say that you might be on a path, but there's always an opportunity for a new path. You don't have to ever have to define yourself at any point.
So I have to ask you this because one of the things that I've learned in being in business over the years is there's all kinds of things that you want to have work out right. And suddenly you get hit on the side of the head by something that drives you in a different direction. And I used to go, no, we're doomed. But these days I go, well, that's not quite what I planned, but who knows where it's going to lead,
Right.
and maybe it leads to something better. Do you have that kind of mindset as well?
I think it's really interesting that you say that, because the last 5 years has really forced more of that. Because, for us as an organization in 2020, with the pandemic and 60% of your top line revenue comes to a halt, that was not part of the plan. So you have to learn to adapt.
Yes.
And basically not fall down the doom loop and go, okay, we're just going to adapt and we're going to create a new plan and push forward.
And it opens up opportunities that you may not have explored otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for giving us a glimpse into your work and career life.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.